This episode of Off My Shelf contains coarse language and adult conversation. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, my name is Tracy James and welcome to Off My Shelf, a podcast about movies that are well off my shelf, where we go through my DVDs, talk about the movies in my collection. In this episode, Austin Wong joins me in chatting about two whimsical and thoughtful films, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Fantastic Mr. Fox. Welcome!
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yes, you. The last time you were on, I think, was for Valentine's Day. And that was before the whole world shut down. And yeah, I haven't seen you since.
No, it's true. That was the last time. So, well, it's nice to see your face on Zoom.
Yes, it's nice to see you too, and your glorious man locks that are happening there.
I haven't cut my hair since you've seen me last. So.
Yes. I will tell everybody, it's glorious. Just take my word for it. Everything is. What have you been doing to keep yourself busy while you've been trapped inside?
Well, you know, I've been spending a lot of time with my daughter. She was off school for a while and I was working from home. So that was very nice. And just sort of hanging out and spending a lot of money online, you know?
Yes. So you're doing what everybody else is doing.
Yes. And my husband's been baking a lot. So that's been great.
Oh, so that means you're like me with the COVID 25, I'm trying to call it right now?
At least 25, yeah. He's made a cheese bread loaf, I think, every week since it started.
Oh my God.
And pies. We've been having pies, like, I think, I don't know, at least one every 3 weeks. I don't know, maybe that's too many, but a lot of pies. There's been a lot of pies.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of cooking since I've been home, and all of those digests and articles and things online that said if you cook your own food you'll lose weight is just lies. I've gone completely opposite, so thanks for nothing, guys.
Well, I have seen pictures of what you're cooking and I can see why that is, because they look incredibly rich and super delicious. Like that noodle one that you made not too long ago, it was like some fancy ramen noodle-y thing. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm. I've done a couple of different ones, yeah.
Yeah. Was that based on Parasite when they made that? Do you remember that movie?
No, it wasn't. I just wanted noodles and I just made them. That's the thing. Like, it's not even that I know what my inspiration is or I know what I'm going to cook even 10 minutes before I'm going to cook. It's usually, I'm hungry. What does my body feel for? Sometimes it's noodles, sometimes it's potatoes, sometimes I want something, Asian or something Caribbean or something in between, or sometimes it's to open the fridge, what do I have, pull some stuff out and throw it in a pot. And see what happens.
That is the sign of a true chef. You're not even using a cookbook.
Yeah, no, I learned how to cook from my mom, and my mom, she has certain recipes that maybe she cooks maybe once a year or once every couple of years that she'll have like an actual recipe for. But most of the time, like how she cooked was never from a cookbook. It was just like, oh, a handful of this should be good. Oh, grab some of that stuff, throw it in there. And, and then from that, as I got older, I just started trying more things and I just make stuff.
That's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you should start writing down some of your better recipes.
I have actually. I have a secret recipe book I've started now. I think I've got like 50 recipes in it since I've been home. But the worst part is I don't do measurements. So it's just a bunch of ingredients and then instructions. I'm like a handful of onions and a pinch of this. And I don't know, like up to your knuckle, cover it in water. Like it's that kind of thing.
I feel like, real chefs will get that kind of cookbook, but someone like me will want measurements.
Oh yeah. Everybody I know has told me that. They're like, do you have a recipe for this? I'm like, I can tell you what goes in it, but I can't tell you how much of a thing goes in it. And they're like, oh, that's not helpful at all. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Well, maybe that should be a new podcast for you, Off My Kitchen, or
oh, what's in the cupboard?
My fridge.
Yeah.
Off my oven.
Yeah. Just stuff, Yeah. But yeah, I keep getting notes about that. Just like, oh my God, you're such a good chef. And I'm like, am I? I don't think so, but sure.
It looks pretty good.
I must admit, a lot of the time, I'm like, that's pretty tasty. Today for lunch, it took me 20 minutes. I made a mushroom rosé pasta with grilled shrimp.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just stuff I had in the fridge.
That sounds amazing.
It was delicious.
Oh my God. Do you know what I had for lunch today?
What?
Half a block of cheese. And the foot of a loaf with peanut butter in it.
You know what? That's probably the same amount of calories. I'm just going to say it.
It was good cheese, though. It was truffle cheese from Fifth Town. What is it? The Fifth Town shop in Prince Edward County. It's like a cheese shop.
Yeah.
Do you like truffle?
Delicious. Yes.
Oh my God. You will love this cheese. It was so good. It was just, oh my God, it was so good. I just kept slicing off more pieces, and I realized, I guess this is my lunch. I've basically eaten this whole block of cheese.
Don't worry. I've had days like that where I'm like, oh, it's going to be a bowl of cereal and a bag of chips as a meal. Done. You just don't get pictures of that. That's it.
I'm big on the cereal too. I mean, it's, they make it for the most important meal of the day. So why can't it be for any meal?
Exactly. I agree. Done and done. Yeah. I think cooking takes effort. And one of the reasons why I've done it since I've been home is because I have the time to do it and I want to fill up some time. So It's just easier to do it at this point, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think a lot of people are sort of indulging in some hobbies now that we have more time at home.
Yeah. So no other hobbies besides shopping?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I have a lot of other hobbies. Like I like to make, I'm writing like a couple of scripts and, I build a lot of Lego.
Lego's always fun. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And I'm actually going to try to get into sewing again because like when my daughter was just a baby, I would sew quilts and things, and I ended up getting a lot of fabric, and then I just kind of stopped. But now my daughter lately has been asking me to make another quilt. So that's something that I think I'm going to do at some point.
Now that is something that's time consuming.
It is time consuming, but it's quite satisfying when it's done. Nice. It's like art you can snuggle with.
Yeah. Like it's not just, it's tangible art.
It's very tangible. Yeah. And there's a shopping component too, because you get to buy a lot of fancy fabrics. So that's fun.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I'm like, well, the thing is like, I understand people with the online shopping, but I'm a very tactile shopper. And like, I don't care how pretty something looks, because if I can't touch it, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I was that way until I wasn't really feeling comfortable going into stores, but I still needed to shop. So you adapt.
Yeah, you do.
And there's a lot of things that I've bought that I really feel like I should return, and I haven't gotten around to yet. It's such a pain to like.
Yeah, go through the whole process.
Just how they're probably making a lot of money with people that aren't returning stuff. But.
Well, maybe if you used a memory wiping thing, you'd forget about those purchases and it'd be
nice segue.
Nice. Well, I do have to say I thoroughly enjoyed preparing for this episode. I still love both of these movies. Everything about them is fantastic, but I do realize in both of them that I have a very different understanding of the characters, and I feel like, I don't know, as you grow with these movies, different aspects of them stick out to you even more, but they're still both great. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think this is my third episode I've joined you for now, because I did the Valentine's Day one the year before.
Previously, yes. So it's third one.
This, by far, has been my favorite pair of movies because like, when I rewatched both of them, it was such a pleasure to rediscover these movies. Like, I remember loving Eternal Sunshine, like, when I saw it. And I think I watched it a few times back when I first discovered it. And so it's always held this special place in my mind. Like, it's always been on my top 10 list of all-time favorite movies, but I haven't really watched it for a really long time. I just know I love it, but I haven't bothered to watch it again. So it was a nice excuse to sit down and watch it again. And I remembered the broad strokes, the plot and everything, but I did not remember how it all came together. I did not remember all the little plots of the the side plots of the workers that work for the memory erasing thing. Like, it was such a great movie, and I really appreciate it all over again. I think it was such a good movie.
Yeah, like one thing I was worried about, which I'm finding with a lot of these movies, like they're quirky and all that kind of stuff, is like there's a lot of like, woe is me, I'm a man and my life is difficult. And I found it very frustrating to go back and watch some of these movies because that's all that's coming out of it.
Right.
This, it's clearly not that.
Right.
It's about both of like the two main women in it, which is Kate Winslet and Kirsten Dunst. They're actual people. Yeah. And then all of the men are actual people, but they interact kind of normally. Like, it's not about, oh, woe is me, feel sorry for me. It's more like, life is hard. I just don't want to do this anymore. And I was like, oh, it's not about your manliness. It's just about life in general. That's good. Yeah. Like in the plot sense. Yeah.
Well, I would say though, I mean, Kate Winslet's character, I didn't find her that normal in a way. Like, I mean, she came across as a very vivid person. Like, I believed her character and everything. But I think like she falls very squarely into that whole trope, the manic
pixie girl.
And I think I can't remember when that term was introduced. Like, I think it was Almost Famous with Kate Hudson or Elizabeth with Kirsten. I can't remember. It was like,
I think it's slightly earlier than that. It came around. Yeah.
But so when I was watching the movie again, and like she was just like this spitfire, like she was super wacky, and she was helping to bring this shy, introverted man out of himself, like, which is the classic manic pixie girl thing. Like, they help a man that's somehow stunted to realize like his life could be better, and they basically help him get his life on track, and that's their function, and that's the criticism of them as characters. But I liked, so when I was watching this, I kind of thought, this is the classic, like, he's very, bored with his job, bored with his life, and then here's this crazy Clementine with all these hair colors. Like, this is your classic manic pixie dream girl thing. But then she says, I love that speech. She says, I'm not here to make your life better. I'm not here to show up and turn your life around and save your life and make your life better. I'm just here trying to figure out my own shit and trying to have peace of mind. Like, I thought that was genius, because it was basically the manic pixie girl saying, fuck you, I'm not a manic pixie girl. I'm literally just trying to make my life better for myself. So I thought that was kind of meta on that whole trope. And then I also liked that it turned out that in the other movies, it's always like the manic pixie dream girl is like somewhat unattainable, or they're dating them and then they disappear at the end, but their life is forever changed and they feel better about it or whatever. And in a way that happens, but most of this movie it's post that, like, they're mad at each other. Like, he's not relying on her anymore. Like, they're so angry with each other at the beginning that they're deleting each other from their minds. Yeah. So it's kind of post that whole fantasy. And that's what I found so romantic about this movie in a way, because, like, he's realizing through his disappearing memories that he really does care about her. And, like, he loves her and he wants to keep her, and it's just so sad to watch these memories that are truly nice, beautiful memories start to disappear, and he wants them, and he says, oh, I should have tried harder, and at the end, I'm sort of rushing to the end here, but it's sort of like at the end, I love that it ends with them meeting again, and they're obviously attracted to each other. They don't remember each other, but they want to, like, clearly they're meant to be together. Like, they're drawn together. They have a lot of chemistry. But I love that they actually receive all those tapes from Kirsten Dunst. They hear every bad thing about the other. So they actually are literally and physically confronted with evidence of everything that they would not like about the other person. And then at that point, they decide to date again.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know. I think that's actually the sad part of the movie for me, not the romantic part. I think that part is the heartbreaking part of it.
So what part is heartbreaking?
Well, okay. So we start off. So the movie actually starts when they meet each other the second time, which I didn't remember, because when it started, I was like, oh, that's how they met. That's so weird. She's so aggressive. That's very odd. And then the actual title of the movie comes up, and then it's actually like the first time they've met, how they've met, and Well, actually, no, it's him trying to erase her. That's where it is. And
We
then
don't
it goes through the memories.
much later. Yeah.
Exactly. And so as I'm watching it, and then as those good memories come around, that's how you see like their actual relationship actually develop the first time they meet each other and everything. You're like, oh, that seems a lot more natural and makes a lot more sense than the part where they meet on the train, where you're just like, there's definitely something wrong with her. Like, this is just weird. I would not want to be part of that.
So aggressive and crazy. It doesn't seem like a normal character, a normal person.
Exactly. So when they bring her back in his memories and they make her seem more normal, I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. But then it's true, like with any tragic thing that happens, like, I mean, the first time he goes into the office, there's like a woman crying with like her dead dog's like stuff in her lap, and she's just like bawling her eyes out, because people do things like this when they remember the bad part. And usually when it ends, that's the bad part happening. So as soon as you get past the bad part, you're just like, but can I keep the good memories? You can't keep the good stuff, which romanticizes everything, which brings everything back. You're like, oh, this is when everything's perfect, but also in his mind, all of the bad stuff's gone, therefore it was only the good stuff. Why would I give stuff up? And despite at the end where they're hearing about each other, their emotions and their chemistry in their body and their want for each other are so high, they can't see the issue happening. So when the movie ends and you realize they've decided to date each other again, I'm like, isn't it just going to fall apart again? Like, isn't it going to be 2 years later and they're going to be broken up and angry at each other? And because you can't keep these things from coming back, because they've never experienced those bad things for each other because they're gone in their head, right?
But see, this is why this movie, and I've had versions of this discussion over the years with people as well. It's kind of a Rorschach test, whether you think they're going to stay together or whether you think the movie is just showing how they're doomed to repeat their mistakes. Yeah. That people are just programmed to want what they want, even if it's not good for them. Like I've heard arguments that these two people should not be together. They're completely incompatible. There's a certain chemistry that they have, that they are drawn to each other, but they should not be together. And and unfortunately they're unable to learn from their mistakes. So they're just going to keep repeating it. Right. I don't know that that's true. Like, I think the other thing that you can say is, these people really loved each other. They were drawn to each other. They're quite opposites. But I think that's, in fact, what attracts people to some people often, right? Like, the crazy person wants somebody that's grounded. The really timid person loves the energy and the boldness of the other person. Like, they balance each other out. And I feel like knowing that all the bad stuff you're right, like, they don't remember it themselves because all the memories have been erased. They also remember the good memories, like everything has been erased, right? Yeah. But all that they've got left that they know about
is wanting.
Well, no, but what they've got salvage is this tape of them actually articulating everything that they didn't like about the other person. So they know that these are the things that could happen. They know that these are the things they once thought about the other person. Like, they're giving the sneak peek into what's going to happen. And she says, this is just me. I get restless. I'm going to feel trapped and I'm going to leave. And he goes, okay. And she laughs. And the thing is, that's, I think, the beauty of a relationship. When, like, anybody can love anybody if everything is good. Anybody can love everybody if it's all the shiny exterior. It's the shiny part that you present on a first or second date. Like, it's the honeymoon period for a reason, because you're all flush with the newness of it all, right? Yeah. But a true relationship survives when you see the ugly part of the person and you choose to love them anyway. When you see the part that they would normally hide, but you love them anyway, or even because of that, because you find it endearing as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And in a very literal way, that's what's happened with them. Like, they have now listened to themselves talk about the parts that they don't like about the person, and they know it's true because they said it themselves. But they're choosing to love the person anyway. So I think they actually have the best chance ever. Because going into it the first time, it was all how great they were, and they slowly discovered the things they didn't like about each other, and then they decided that was so annoying that they're just going to give up on it, right? Because, some relationships, like, you have to work at it. You have to decide that the good is better than the bad, right? In this case, they already know what the bad is, and they're already choosing to accept it. So they've had this one step further, and I feel they have all the good stuff to experience for the first time again in different forms.
Mm-hmm.
Because the chemistry is there. That's how I think.
No, I agree. Like, the chemistry is definitely there, and I understand at the end of the movie why they end up together. So I don't think it's weird they end up together or anything. I understand why they get together, and through the memories and through their interactions, all that kind of stuff, it makes sense that they get together at the end. But my thing is like this movie is really about like, you know, you're doomed to repeat your mistakes, and as you've mentioned.
But
And
I don't think that's what it's about. But anyway.
Okay. But my thing with those two characters is that it's also, their tapes are romanticized. Like, her tape about him.
The tapes are not romanticized. They're trashing the other person. That's the opposite of romanticized.
So on her tape, she is trashing him. Yes, I will agree with you. But if you actually listen to the things that he says about her, they're actually, what does he say? He's like, when you first meet her, she's got this like great personality, and she's got like this big hair, and she's out there, and she's fun, and you know, she's going to take you on an adventure, and she makes you believe you're going to take an adventure. But then he says, but it's all a lie.
Right.
And I understand that. But then he also is just like, he's just like, well, she drinks too much and she parties too much, but you know, you still want to be around her. And like, if you listen to what he's saying, he says it's a lie, but then he just keeps saying relatively nice things about her. And I think
he says that, but then at the end of the day, she just wants to like have sex with you because that's the only thing she has to offer to make people like you, to make people like her.
And she says,
that's a terrible thing to say.
But she's like, but she also says that's not true. And he's like, yeah. I know that. Like, I wouldn't think that. But I also think it's because they don't remember what's happened before. They don't know. And like I said, it's the chemistry. There's all of this stuff that you just want.
Yeah.
But you're putting it out there.
No, totally. But I think that normally when two people meet each other and they're very attracted to each other, they're not going to hear these ugly things about each other that the person said. In this case, they're going to know that, you know, she's not going to want to do some of the things that make it true what he said of her. And he's not, do you know what I mean? And he's going to think twice before he does some of the things that she criticized about him. Like, it's given them some sort of cheat sheet into the future of what bugs them about each other. And they know, so they have a chance to address it if they want. You know, and if they feel like they want, and I think that the sign is that they do want to, because in spite of it all, they want to give it a chance. I mean, it's true, it could go off the rails again, but I feel like we're not just robots that are just going to do the same program. Like, we take information, we process it, and we can learn from it, right? And in this go round, they have more information than they did the first time, because they have the information of what bugs them about the other person, so they can't not put that in consideration. Like, whether or not they can put their true selves aside and actually not bug the other person in that way remains to be seen. But I think people can change and grow a little bit if they know, if they care enough about the person to try to make something work. They can make it work. And if they know that that's something that they should, it's like therapy, right? When you go to therapy, like, I've never been to therapy, but my parents are both psychologists, so I have some ideas. But I mean, it's like, you can choose to ignore the advice or not. You know what I mean? Like, therapy is meant to bring up things that maybe you're choosing not to acknowledge. And then once you have, the point of it, in part, is that once you've acknowledged it, you can use that information to improve your life, because you can make a different decision. Yeah. So in a sense, that's the opportunity that's being presented to them.
Okay, so maybe I'm a cynic. I'm assuming so, but I think it can also work in a very detrimental way, because sometimes when people learn about something, they can fixate on it, right? It's like, oh, I bought a yellow car. Now all you see is yellow cars outside. Whereas like her, you're like, oh, you know, he's just so boring. And then she sits there and she's like, oh my God, he is boring. What am I doing here? And it falls apart faster than usual.
It could, except that she really likes him. But you know what? We're both it's impossible to know how it goes, which is the beauty of this movie. It could really go either way.
Yeah. But and the thing is too is that I would believe either way.
Yeah.
Right? Because the movie is so well structured and the characters are so well put together, and it's just such like a, like the movie starts in the middle of the movie, but also at the end of their relationship, and it goes back to their beginning, and it's just such like a weird flow that like describing how like even just describing how this movie works is a relatively complicated thing to just
100%.
Tell people what it's about.
But that's not actually, we should talk about too, just the structure is so brilliant. Like the story is complicated anyway, but the way it's presented makes it very complicated because like you don't know where you are in the story. And a lot of the story is not really happening because it's just his memory that's happening that's getting degraded.
Yeah, it's him remembering how he ended up at this point.
That's right. Yeah. And but there's actual scenes of him in the office, and then there's memories of him in the office that just happen. Like, it's just so complex the way they've sort of structured it. But I loved the lo-fi effects that they did, like lights flicking off as they're running away from things shutting down, or the books in the bookshop that she's in, and then they cut away, and then all the books are now white, so all the content of the books is gone. Like, I just love these practical effects, these practical decisions to show the degradation of the memories without CGI. I just thought it was so effective, and I loved the visceralness of all the sand and the water and those scenes, and the roof collapsing. Like, it just made everything so immediate. Like, I really, apart from the story, which I obviously loved, I just loved the filmmaking. I loved the way it was directed. I loved the way it was set directed. I loved it all. I just thought it was such a genius movie.
Yeah, it really, and that's the thing that you get lost in it as well, is that it conveys the idea so well that you're just like, like even the scenes where he's trying to hide her in other memories, and he's like the kid under the table, and he's like, I just want my mom to pick me up, and she's just like, remember me, I'm sexy, look at my underpants. He's just like, but mommy, pick me up. And he's like, he's actually a child in the memory, or
such a weird scene too, the way they did the forced perspective, and he's wearing that, and he's just small, and it's because like he's supposed to be a kid, and she's trying to turn him on as an adult. Like there's something weird about that and awful about that, but I mean, it's just so twisted and hilarious.
It is, and it's awesome. Like, but even like the scene where it's what is it? The shame memory where he's he kills the bird or whatever from peer pressure. And she ends up being one of the friends, and but she disappears, and his bike's there, and he gets angry, and he like takes the bike and rides away. But he's still in like his like 8-year-old self body. It's so perfect, and so sad, but so like correct at the same time. It's a whole thing, and like how they conveyed his mentality in the memory while keeping him the same person was also it was a whole other thing.
It was just so well done. And can we just talk about Jim Carrey too? I mean, I was just doing a little Googling because I couldn't remember where this fell in his whole library, but I mean, obviously Jim Carrey became famous for those really stretchy faced comedies like Ace Ventura and The Mask, where he's super over the top and super manic and super energy and everything. And he was so believable in this movie, where he's just the least animated character. He's the least energetic. Like Mark Ruffalo was more energetic than him. It's such a restrained performance, but I just really believed him, and it didn't look like he was pretending. Like I found him very likable and attractive in this movie.
And he does such a good job. And I've realized in recent years, I find comedians in comedic roles are sometimes so much better than getting like a serious actor in a role like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you mean a serious role?
Yes. Because even if I think about like another movie I love, like Stranger Than Fiction, that has Will Ferrell, and that was like his serious role, and he was just amazing in it. And I know it's not as well, it is quite poignant actually, but it's not as serious as this movie is. But I just found his very restrained, very nice person that he created was perfect. Like the scene where he brings flowers to Maggie Gyllenhaal, and I was just like, that is just so nice. Like, it's just it's ridiculous, you know. You really should watch it if you haven't seen Stranger Than Fiction.
I should watch it.
It's quite amazing.
Okay.
And like, and the movie's also filled with a bunch of other comedians as well. Like, what's the guy from? He was in Arrested Development. He's in it as well. He played the stupid brother. Oh my god.
Tobias? That guy? No,
not Tobias.
He played, he's the guy with the
Buster.
deep voice.
No, he played Buster.
Oh, Tony something. He's in Veep.
Yeah, Tony Hale. Tony Hale. It's just Hale.
Tony Hale. That's right.
Yes, he's in it as well. He doesn't play like a big character or anything, but even he's relatively restrained and quiet, and he does such a really good job in there. Then you have like Dustin Hoffman's in it, and I know Dustin Hoffman's always been a relatively serious actor, but he's always sort of funny in everything he does.
Yeah.
But he does his part really well in it too. And I don't know, there's something about the structure of that movie as well that you're just like, it's hard to explain, but you really like it.
I'm just looking it up.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I probably did watch this movie because it's a movie that I would have wanted to see, but I don't remember a thing about it. So
I love it.
I don't remember. I'm going to watch it though. I'll find it.
Yeah, I do recommend. But yeah, I find comedians in serious roles they just seem to do it better somehow.
Yeah, that's funny. Like even Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple.
Yes.
Like, you know, she's like this ribald comedian, and then she was playing this very subdued. You know.
I think comedians understand emotion better. That's why they can make you laugh.
Right.
And so when they have to go the opposite way, they're like, sure, I get what emotions are. Boom, you know? And they pull it out there and they put it out and you're like, there it is. And it works. It really, really works.
And on the opposite scale, like I never would have thought of Kate Winslet as a comedic actress because she became famous for,
Titanic, really.
Well, Titanic, but also, and before that, like Heavenly Creatures and Sense and Sensibility, like a bunch of English period pieces where she was very, repressed Brit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, Titanic, she showed more energy, but still she was not the live wire in that movie. She was still relatively buttoned up. So it's kind of an interesting choice for her to be in this movie where she's this wild creature kind of person, but she really pulls it off too. Like she's very believable and fun.
And I think everybody was like perfect for their roles. Like Elijah Wood, I have a very soft spot in my heart for him, but he plays like the creepy weirdo so well. You're just like, dude.
And that weird over earnest kind of fixation. I just thought, also Kirsten Dunst was so good in this as well. Like when she first shows up and she's like a receptionist and just saying receptionist things, like I thought that's really cute, but it's weird that she's playing a receptionist. But like her role is so funny and interesting. Like she's sort of bitchy to Elijah Wood, that like she's kind of mean girling to him, like doesn't pour him a drink because you didn't want any, did you, right, Patrick? And just sort of very dismissive.
Yeah.
And then throwing herself at the boss. Like it was a very funny role for her. And Mark Ruffalo, I forgot that he was in it. Like this young Mark Ruffalo partying in his underwear. I thought that was so funny.
I honestly think this is the first movie that I can be like his earliest movie that I can be like, oh no, Mark Ruffalo's in it. Like this is where like I learned his name.
Right.
And then everything came after that. But yeah, no, the first time I saw this movie, I was just like, that guy's great. What's up with his hair? That was my whole thing.
Voice. I feel like maybe, what was the first thing I remember him in? I really remember him in 13 Going on 30.
Yeah, I have never seen that movie.
What?
I know.
Oh my God. You have to watch that movie. I will watch Stranger Than Fiction and you should watch 13 Going on 30.
Okay. I will add it to my list. That just keeps getting longer. Yes.
Anyway, that was a great movie. And actually, I want to watch it again. Like I actually, I'm not talking about 13 Going on 30 anymore. I'm talking about, I kind of want to watch it again with Tommy because he didn't watch it with me. And I would love to see his reaction because he hasn't seen it since it came out in like, what year was it out? 2004.
2004.
2004, yeah. That's a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, and the thing is too is like the movie is aged so well because they use mainly practical effects and they use lo-fi things to just portray everything instead of just trying to CG stuff in the background and whatever. Like, and so it just works. So it's tactile almost. You know what I mean?
Totally. And also the fact that, and Michel Gondry, that's the name of the director. I remember I became a fan of him in general.
Mm-hmm.
And his next movie, The Science of Sleep, was also pretty good. And he made a bunch of music videos, like a ton of videos, like a lot of Bjork videos he directed.
Yeah.
And they are also very tactile, like human behavior and like very, like the special effects, the creatures are all very paper mache or very, you can see what they're made of.
I love that human behavior video. That video is amazing.
It's amazing. It's the same director. Like, he's just got such a good eye and a good sensibility. But I feel like the other decision he made, like, The Office looked very generic 70s kind of dentist office, right? Like, for a high-tech company that's erasing your brain, I love that it was like the super cheap office that had, you know, a really crappy looking reception area and everything, and the vehicles that they used to ship everything was like this really crappy van. Like, the fact that it already looked kind of old makes it so timeless, because I mean, those spaces still kind of exist. Like, they didn't do anything that would timestamp it with what was current. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, an iPhone, or nobody had. I guess they didn't have them then, but it was already out of time when it came out. So it still looks fresh in its own way because it's so distinct.
Exactly.
Like, I think this movie could come out today, new, exactly the way it is, and still look good. Like,
yeah, people would think it's a new movie, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would accept it because it's still genius and brilliant, and it still matters for today.
Okay. I just have to, okay, so I am looking through this guy's filmography, and did not realize how familiar I am with his work. Because some of the videos that he did are just like, what? You did those videos? No wonder I love this movie as well as all of your videos.
They're classics.
Yeah, like, because he did Lenny Kravitz, Believe, Bjork, Human Behavior. We already talked about that one.
Bachelorette, tons of Bjork. He did a ton of Bjork.
Tons of Bjork. He also did, let's see, what was the other one I was looking at? The Sheryl Crow, Change Would Do You Good. You know, it's the one that's like, that like revolves and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That video is awesome. He did Everlong by the Foo Fighters. Yep. He's done another one, Bites to Dust, the Wyclef version.
He also did Come Into My World by Kylie Minogue, where she keeps walking around in the neighborhood, and then there's 2 Kylies, and there's 3 Kylies, and there's 4 Kylies, and
that's a great video.
Workers, and it's technically impossibly brilliant.
Yeah. He did Around the World, the Daft Punk video.
Yeah.
I love that video so much. It's ridiculous. And I'm just like going through this filmography. I'm like, no wonder I know all of your stuff. Like, I've seen all of these things. Like, it's
because
crazy.
He's kind of a genius. Oh, also, I don't know if you've ever seen this video. It's called Sugar Water by this Japanese band called Cibo Matto. Okay. You have to watch it. It is probably my favorite video of all time. Like, it's like a palindrome or something. It's just like, they filmed everything practically, but they did it in such a way that he could do a split screen.
Okay.
So that the action that they do at this time, when they do it backwards, it links up.
Oh, that does sound interesting.
On 2 sides of the screen, kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm describing it well or properly because it's been a long time since I watched it. But I actually bought a DVD. It was like this, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like Masters of the Videos or something. It had all these sort of pioneering videos, and there was like a Michel Gondry one, and I bought it, and it was like, it had all of his cool videos, like all of the things that he did.
Sorry, what was that one called again? It's
called Sugar Water, and the band is called Cibo Matto. It's spelled Cibomatto is the second word.
All right, well, I've got it all set up, so as soon as I'm off of this, gonna be listening to it.
You gotta watch it, and then tell me what you think, because it's and watch it a couple times just to appreciate what timing, the timing of everything to be able to make that video.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Because I'm not surprised if my mind's gonna be blown by it, because all of the videos I have said so far, and keep going through his video list, which is I've told you, like, 5 of his videos out of his 800.
I know.
And like every one of these videos I've seen, and they're awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
he directed the new Green Hornet movie from 2011. Really? That
The
doesn't seem
Witch?
like him at all. The Green Hornet movie that had Seth
no,
Rogen
I
in
know. And that was a bit of a failure.
Yeah.
They can't all be classics.
They can't all. That's true. I'm not holding it against him. Trust me. But like, watch all of his music videos. It's totally, yeah. He did Be Kind, Rewind. It's not a greatest movie, but all of the sequences where they sweet something make perfect sense. Like,
I actually really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah. Visually, it's fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, sorry. I got distracted because I just saw all of the things that I did.
No,
and I was
I'm
like,
glad.
oh my God.
You're discovering it, because I've always thought like he deserved a lot of credit for the movie, because I mean, he's the director, but he never got as much attention as Charlie Kaufman, who wrote it.
Write it. Yeah.
And then there were so many Charlie Kaufman movies, that he became a brand in itself about, crazy
like adaptation
movies.
And all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I think being John Malkovich too.
Yep.
And, like,
that one's also great.
Like, the Charlie Kaufman movie was a known thing, but Michel Gondry directed this, and he didn't really get the attention. But I feel like he deserved it, since
because the way he managed to, I cannot even imagine what the script for this movie looked like, because like just staring at some of those scenes, I can't think of how to describe what it looks like. So imagine him reading the script, interpreting it.
Yeah.
And then working with people to try to interpret it in a way that looks seamless and beautiful the way it does.
And not just convey the story, but the emotion and the relationship and the feelings. You know what I mean? Like, because the story's so dense in a way, it'd be easy to just try to pull it off technically. But the movie has so much heart in it. Like, you can really feel the emotions of the characters.
You really can. I mean, like, technically, you can describe the movie as a guy and a girl break up and they go to a company and choose to forget each other. Fine.
But then they hold on as the memories slip away.
Yeah. But the thing is that you could have just gone A to B to C with that. And just have like a plain, it goes forward, they meet each other, they do some stuff, they get mad, they go to the place, and then they go home. Like, and then they come back together, whatever. But the mix of the timelines and the mix of the memories and the mix of the secondary storyline and all that kind of stuff, just and how, and like you said, how they managed to actually convey the idea of forgetting, which not just with darkness, but just like loss of detail in a space, and or like sometimes it even came across sort of like he was having deja vu, like it's just and like you see that, like you have that in your head. Like sometimes you're trying to remember, like, hey, do you remember the time we went to this place and we saw this thing? You're like, do I? I think so. Whereas like you see pieces of the place in your head, but you don't see everything, and like that's actually conveyed on the screen, and you're just like I understand this
or whatever. Oh my god.
Yeah, but I love it when like a filmmaker doesn't make art for the sake of making art, but makes art for the sake of good storytelling, and that's what this movie does.
Exactly.
Because my one of my biggest problems is like there's so many like artsy films. We're like, no, my film is a work of art and you must interpret everything. And I'm like, but the whole point of movie making is to tell a story. And if nobody knows what your story is, then you're not using your medium correctly. Whereas I think a movie like this, you're like, oh no, this is clearly art, but there's clearly a story.
There's also a story.
And something is being conveyed here,
Yeah, no, it's great. And even like little throwaway lines I thought were funny. Like I wrote down, like, when he goes, is there, like, will this procedure give me brain damage? And the guy goes, well, technically the procedure is brain damage.
Yeah.
It's on par with the heavy drinking.
Yeah. I'm like, ooh. So then can he just go home and drink a lot? Like, can we just leave it that way? Or one thing I really enjoyed was the part where they went back to his like she shows up at his apartment at the end, and she's like, do you want a drink? And she's like, yeah. Do you have any scotch? And he pulls up the bottle, and it's like, And I was just like, oh my God, call back to the night before. They're drinking all this
because
stuff.
he doesn't know why there's not a lot there.
Yeah. He's like, I could have sworn I had more.
It fits together so well.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. I sat there, like, I have like 8 lines of notes because I just got distracted by the overall.
I know.
And I was like, I don't want to take my time to write something while this is going on, because I was
the same. Like, I was trying to, it was more like afterwards, I was kind of Googling just to kind of place where people were in their careers when this movie came out and refresh my memory. But like, yeah, the movie is just so, it's so rich with things you don't want to really look away or stop paying attention
to it. Exactly. Yeah. One thing I do want to bring up though is the idea, like, in film where people are carefree. And one of the things that really frustrates me, especially in movies like this one, or Breakfast at Tiffany's, or Happy Go Lucky and stuff like that, where people are considered to be like, they're whimsical and they're carefree. But I'm like, I look at the characters, I'm like, no, you're careless and mean. And, because you're carefree, you're reckless with people's emotions, their property, and your attitude towards them, and not thinking about any kind of consequence. But to me, that's not an appealing thing. So, like, I don't understand why this kind of portrayal of carefree is so, obsessed over in like Manic Pixie Girls. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it's because they're meant to be breaking from the constraints of the humdrum rules of life, and they're sort of aspirational because they seem to get away with things, and they're that much freer than the rest of us that play by the rules, even though, but I do think that in this movie, she appears kind of carefree, but she's also shown to be quite tormented in her own mind, and she's, insecure about herself. And like that speech that I mentioned earlier, like, she says, I'm just trying to find some peace of mind. Like, she says straight up that she's not really that carefree. She's she's not there to be this carefree girl that's going to help his life be better. Like, she's trying to save herself too. So I think it's her way of coping. Like, it's true. Like, she has no regard for the house. Like, she's fine to break in. Like, but I don't think it's glorifying that in a way. Like, it is romanticizing her in a way, but I think we're also meant to see that she's not a good person in every respect.
Yeah, there's the part with, like, the car, and her just snapping at him all the time and all that kind of stuff. True. Like, I just found it, very off-putting.
But he calls her on it. He calls her on it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that the whole carefree girl is like I think other movies do that too, but make her kind of on a pedestal where everything she touches is great. But I feel like this movie shows the darker side of it quite well, right? Shows that when he can't remember how charming she was, he's really pissed off that she wrecked his car.
Well, yeah, I would be.
So it's kind of, and like, not to talk too much about Breakfast at Tiffany's either, but like, she's very tormented. Like, that movie is pretty dark. Like, she's a hooker and she's not very happy, and she befriends the other guy, and she does a lot of selfish things, but she's pretty miserable.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's not what people take from that movie. People are just like, oh, it's Audrey Hepburn and she's so pretty and her life is like this, and she, she has parties and she has nice dresses and she does these.
But if you really
men are in love with her and all this kind of stuff, and you're just like,
I know, why? But I don't think you're necessarily meant to feel all just that, because it's kind of a darkish movie given its reputation.
Yes, it was a lot darker than I expected, but I also absolutely hated the character Hailey Golightly. That's her name, right? I hated her character, Holly Golightly. I hated her character, and I was just like, I don't understand why that author's in love with her. I don't understand who cares about this person. Like, why haven't you dropped her like a rock in a pond? Like, walk away. So I was very confused about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I 100%.
Yeah. And then there was that movie a while back called Happy Go Lucky. Is it Happy Go Lucky?
There's a movie called that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's Happy Go Lucky, if I'm thinking of the right movie. And the actress in this movie, I full on hate her.
Let me look it up.
Like, oh yeah, it is. It's Sally Hawkins. She's the star.
Oh yeah, she's funny. She's funny. Sally Hawkins is funny.
I hate her character in this movie with a passion. I hate her character in this movie. And the thing is, every time I see her in anything now, I know it's not her fault, but I see her in anything now, and I'm just like, I can't look at this. I don't like you. Please get off my screen. So either she did her role amazingly well that I can't forget it, or she just did herself a disservice, and it hasn't ruined her career. She's doing lots of work and everything.
Yeah. That's funny. I don't think I've seen this. It's like it's a Mike Leigh movie. He's usually doing very depressing movies. Like Mike Leigh movies are usually really serious. So this is a comedy.
It's not particularly serious. There are like those like quiet moments in it and stuff. There's a couple of very like high tension moments where like this guy just starts like screaming and all this kind of stuff. But honestly, I understood him over her, and I was just like, yeah, you should be yelling at her. Sorry. That was it. So
I'm surprised I haven't seen it. Because like Mike Leigh directed movies like, did you see Secrets and Lies?
No. I was just looking at his stuff.
Like Secrets and Lies is one of my favorite movies. You should really watch it. It's a drama. It's very good. It made me cry, and I rarely cry in movies.
No, I definitely.
And Vera Drake is about like the woman who's doing illegal abortions. It's very serious as well. Mm-hmm. And Naked is about this kind of, it's a black comedy more, but like his stuff is pretty dark.
I have not seen anything else he's directed. No.
Well, it's, from the sounds of it, Happy Go Lucky seems like quite a outlier, or it's different than the ones he's most famous for.
Yeah, I mean it's a relatively light movie. I just hate the main character.
I get it.
I keep saying it. I know. I have to stop saying it, but I do. And like the script was nominated for like an Oscar or whatever for original script the year it came out, and I was just like, but why? Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Well, he's got a reputation. Like he's been nominated for lots of awards. I feel like he's won some Academy Awards.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, shall we move on to Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Oh my God, yes. Okay. So surprisingly, this is the first Wes Anderson movie I've done so far on this podcast. Trust me, it's not going to be the last one because I have a lot of Wes Anderson because I thoroughly enjoy his aesthetic and his storytelling style. And I kind of like that I'm starting on an animated one because it brings out so much of just the whimsy of his style of storytelling. Yeah. Because it's so specific and everything has to be accounted for immediately that it just really works. It just really works.
I too am a massive fan of Wes Anderson. Like I just think his movies are quirky, they're unique, they're charming as all hell, and his aesthetic, like all of his movies share that very specific kind of aesthetic where everything is completely perfect and whimsical and beautiful, and he frames everything just so, and holds on a lot of specific shots. And I also thought it's interesting because like when he does his live action movies, is mostly normal live action movies, they're so art directed and so perfectly designed that for him to do an animated movie, it's perfect because he has to create the entire world from scratch. So he can literally control every single piece of the image, which he can in the live action anyway, but he can create it from scratch, like even if it's impossible. And when you start watching it, it's so gorgeous. Like it's such a beautiful fall day and the fox is on a hill and he does this little, like it's a gorgeous film. And then when I'm watching it though, I was surprised, like so much of the movie takes place in holes and underground. It actually isn't quite as gorgeous as I thought it could be. Mm-hmm. It looks great, but I mean, because of the story, it doesn't lend itself to as many beauty shots as you might think.
Really? I actually thought the opposite. I was surprised at how beautiful he could make a hole look. Like that was my thought while I was watching it. I'm like, oh, it's dirt behind them and now they're gonna cross into a mineral deposit, and it's sparkling.
Oh, the mineral deposit.
And you're just like, oh my god.
Or you're right. He did make beautiful, like when they're when they're trapped in that boiler room, and then the fox, the scene in front of the waterfall.
Oh yeah, that was gorgeous too. Yeah,
gorgeous. But a lot of it was in the dirt. Like, I mean, when I think about some of his other movies, like Royal Tenenbaums or Moonrise Kingdom or whatever, like I feel like all the shots are beautiful. Or Budapest Hotel, like everything is gorgeous. Yeah. And this one, I felt a little less so because there were so many dirt scenes. But.
Well, I also think it's because this movie has a very specific color palette, whereas other movies they do have specific color, but they're more richer colors. Yeah. So like in other movies, it's like, it's green, it's red, it's blue, it's just all these things. Whereas this one, it's like, it's all fall colors. So it's like, it's brown, it's orange, it's very, very little greens and blues and brighter colors to like make it pop. Right. But to me, that didn't really deter from the look of it. It didn't really make me, not like it.
I still liked it. I still liked it. I really still appreciate it. I just didn't think it was as beautiful as
usual. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I liked I loved the character designs. I loved everything about it. As one of my favorite things is the stupid rat.
With that snapping.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about like Willem Dafoe voices him perfect. You know, my favorite line he says in the whole movie is "no." I don't know what it is because I think the fox asks him, "Would you have told me if I didn't kill you first?" And he just says "never." And it's just the way he says it is just so perfect.
Poignant. Yeah.
So poignant. And he's about to die, and you're just like, oh my god, this is so right the way it is. Yeah. I just find it. I don't know. There's something very great about it. But
I agree. I loved the movie. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like, I mean, it was a pleasure watching this movie too. Like, I love all Wes Anderson movies, and I think I'd only seen this one once when it came out, so it was a pleasure to watch again. Like, it was just like, one thing I do love about all of his movies is the dialogue is so deadpan. Like, the characters all talk in a very deadpan style. And it's just so funny. All the different asides. And I love that, like, the heist sort of plot and the fox's plot against the three mean businessmen and everything. But then his son Ash and his little sort of teen movie drama with Christopherson.
Yeah.
It's just perfectly calibrated as well. Like, it serves the greater story, but it also is a fun little story on its own. And I love the way the close-ups of the face, the fur ruffling, and their expressions.
Yeah, it's just perfect. Yeah. Have you read Roald Dahl's books?
Yeah, I used to read them all, but it's been a long time. I used to love them as a kid.
I have to say, I have never read a single Roald Dahl book. And I really feel like I should change that. Even as an adult, I think I would enjoy the books.
You probably would. I mean, I haven't read them as an adult, I don't think. But as a kid, they're a lot darker than a lot of books. And, like, the children are usually abused by their caretakers, and then they seek out some sort of fantastic world to escape. This one is not as much that, because it's more about an adult fox as opposed to, like, Matilda, a young girl, or Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, or James and Giant Thief. So those are all kids that are, through fantastic means, trying to escape their circumstances. So this one is a little different. But yeah, they're good books. You should read them. I mean, I feel like they would hold up.
Yeah, because so on the DVD that I watched, they had like a couple of vignettes. And usually I don't watch them. But for this one, I was like, I have to watch them. And they were talking about, A, the writing of the script was one of them, and then B was the animation. And so the writing of the script, so they were talking about the book, and apparently the crux of the book is maybe like half an hour of the film, and they've just built stuff on either end of it. So like where they start, where she finds out she's pregnant and they're trapped, like that's completely new, for example. But like him and the heist, that's part of it. But then, the part at the end is added on. And I found that really interesting that they managed to to integrate all of it so well. But I need to read the book to see how much they actually changed, because of course they've added more characters and all that kind of stuff to flesh out the story.
I wonder if the finale is very action movie. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not in the original book. I mean, he didn't write action movie scenes, so like Ash flipping and evading all the bullets and then sticking a rabid dog on the bad guys, I'm not sure if that would have been in the book.
Hotbox, yes, for sure.
I love all the, like, I love Jason Schwartzman. I think he's
Jason Schwartzman. Yeah,
I love his voice. I love the way I loved the way he did that character, and I loved Christopherson. This sort of I love that he's like this. You know, he's portrayed as like the perfect kid. He's a natural athlete. The girls love him. Like, he's a popular, good-looking fox. But they didn't go with like some super macho voice. They went with a really earnest, sweet voice.
But yeah,
and
that's actually Eric Anderson, which is Wes Anderson's brother. If I'm
and he's been in all his movies. But I thought he was a cute choice for that character. Like, I loved the little, and I loved that in this movie the characters would occasionally look towards the camera, sort of to look at the audience for, like, when Christopherson's in the cage and then Ash says, I'm here to save you. And Christopherson's like, oh, I have mixed feelings about that. And then Ash says, I understand. And he goes, so, well, maybe you can give me a quick lesson on karate right now. And then Christopherson just sort of slowly looks towards the camera. And then it happens again when Ash is like driving away, and then the Fox, Fantastic Mr. Fox, says something to him in a touching way or whatever, and then Ash just looks towards the camera. It's just so sweet, you know. I mean, I kind of loved that breaking the fourth wall a little
bit, yeah. And it wasn't so abrupt that you get like pulled out of the story. No. It was just like, it's a quick little look, like a little nod to the audience, like, yeah, you know. But it's not like Deadpool style. It's like, hey, I'm looking at you, by the way. Yeah. You know, we're doing something. Like, it wasn't so like abrupt.
It was subtle, and it was more emotional than anything.
It was, and it was always at like those kind of like pivotal scenes that were happening. It's just like, are you paying attention? Something cool is about to happen, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I really just, and it's true, like Jason Schwartzman to me, like ever since I saw him in Rushmore, I've watched almost everything he's been in, I'm pretty sure, including the TV show Bored to Death. Which I loved, and it was so underrated. I'm so sad about that show. I
totally love that. Ted Danson was hilarious in that show.
Yeah, and Zach Galifianakis was relatively toned down, surprisingly, in it, but still the most outlandish character in the show, which I thought was odd.
It's such a good show, like a hipster Brooklyn detective-y show.
Yeah. It's also like I've tried to describe it to people to sell to them, and they're just like, that sounds horrible. I'm like, what are you talking about? It sounds amazing. But the show had me like, oh, it's Jason Schwartzman. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. Like, that was it. Like, I didn't need to be sold on it. But even like Wes Anderson did a couple of like a short with him where he's like a race car driver in like Italy or something.
Really?
And yeah, it was so good. A lot of people didn't see it.
I didn't know about it.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's called Castello Cavalcanti. I don't know. It's Italy, September 1955. A Formula One driver crashes his car during a race, leaving him stuck in a small village, but good surprises will come his way. Yeah, it's great. I really like it.
I will look for it.
And it's not even long. It's like
is it the one Prada presents?
It is, yeah. It's one of those ones.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's 8 minutes long, but it's great. But even when I first saw it too, I was like, what is this? Is this, I thought it was like a long trailer for one of his movies, and then it comes up Prada Presents at the end. I was like, oh, okay. but I was still like, I still like it. It's still great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did the candy one, and yeah, Come Together, a fashion motion picture. That's the one. That was the one for H&M.
No.
The Come Together one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to The French Dispatch.
Me too.
Yes.
Literally, I've loved all of his films. Like, they're sort of event films for me. Like, I'm so excited when one comes out because they're not that often.
No, they're not, and I think they're worth the wait because he actually
Yeah.
takes the time to make the films.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I find like there's a lot of like directors and writers out there where they make one movie and then there's a big thing. So then, like, studios are just like, no, you have to have one out every single year,
Exactly.
and then everything gets worse and worse and worse because they don't have time to like craft what they're actually doing. Whereas he clearly has been allowed or told people, no, I'm going to take my time to do this, so I do it right every single time. And it shows. It really does show.
It really does. I feel like they're all very distinct, and they're just so entertaining. I mean, you do have to appreciate his style, like his deadpan kind of style.
Yes.
But, I mean, I really do. And, like, I mean, at the French Dispatch, I think, is in Paris, and it's, like, my favorite city. So it's basically the perfect thing for me.
For you, yeah. One thing though, like his first movie, Bottle Rocket, I don't know if I've ever watched that whole movie.
Oh, really?
Because it bores me to tears, and I literally fall asleep every time I sit to watch
That's
it.
funny.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, I don't know.
I watched the whole thing. I mean, it's definitely probably his worst movie because it's just getting started. But I mean, Owen Wilson is so funny in it. Like. I mean, I like him as an actor because he's got such a different energy and such a different delivery that I enjoy watching him. So, I mean, that's enough to get me through, but I agree. It's not his strongest work. I think my favorite one is the Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, mine's Life Aquatic.
That's also good.
Yes.
That's good.
Ever since I saw it, everything about that movie has made me love it. From the claymation in it to the interactions. You know, Bill Murray's character is just such an ass, but you can't help but like him.
It's true.
But you also like understand where he's coming from. You know, I don't know. I just love that movie. Everything about it works for me.
Did you see the Darjeeling Limited?
I did.
So that's not one of my favorites.
No, it's too literal, and it annoys me.
Yeah. But I loved their luggage, you know, that had all the animals stamped on it and numbered. It's just such iconic luggage. And this company decided to make a reproduction of it. So I bought it. So now I own
one of the bags.
I own a leather duffel bag that is in the style of the Darjeeling Limited.
Yeah. Can you please tell the audience how long you waited for this bag?
I can't remember now.
I remember you talking about this bag for a good year or so before you got it. And then you got it, you're just like, it's here, and it was like an epic event.
It's true though, it was such a big event.
Yeah, you invited us over to show us this bag.
It was a thing of beauty though, you have to admit it was a thing.
It's a very nice bag, yes. But despite how pretty the bags are in the movie, the bags are the thing that annoys me the most about the movie.
Why?
The bags belong to his father, and the whole movie was having luggage, like emotional luggage, baggage from your father. And I'm like, oh, so they're carrying on their father's luggage? Gotcha. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What the hell? Like, dude.
It was very on the nose.
It was very on the nose. But every other movie I have thoroughly enjoyed. Like there's parts of Darjeeling, like I'm sorry, the whole thing with Jason Schwartzman having the affair with the woman on the train, the woman on the train is like married to the conductor, and the conductor kicks them off. That whole thing is amazing. Like that whole sequence is awesome.
Yeah.
I actually think the thing I hate the most about it is Adrian Brody. His character just didn't seem to fit in the world.
I agree. I didn't love his character. I didn't really love that movie. I mostly love the luggage.
Yeah. Just that's all you were looking for. You're like,
okay, back to the Royal Tenenbaums just for a second. Don't you think it's probably Ben Stiller's best role?
I also think it's Gwyneth Paltrow's best role. It's fine.
Definitely Gwyneth Paltrow's best role. I mean,
I always forget that is Gwyneth Paltrow.
She's so good in it.
Yeah.
It's just so, and like the way they're all introduced in their own little sections, and just the music and their intertwining story. Like, it's such a good movie.
It really is. Yeah. I love it.
that movie so much.
Yeah. No, it's
Anyway,
definitely,
but to
yeah.
go with it
And
back to the Fox.
mhm. Yes, Fantastic Mr. Fox. I also realized, so when I was watching the movie, I was trying to categorize the type of music that's in it, because I like how light and relatively whimsical and folksy it is. But one thing I realized is that this is actually a period piece, because the book was written in the 70s, 1979. And then you listen to the music, which includes the Rolling Stones, I believe. I think this is just music from that time period, or music that sounds like it's from that time period. And then if you actually like watch the clothing they're wearing, and you watch the vehicles and the technology they have, I'm like, oh, this just takes place in the 70s. Gotcha. Okay, I don't know why that has never triggered in my brain before.
I've never thought of that either, because I just think of it as kind of timeless. But you're right. Like, my only note about music was just soundtrack was amazing, because I remember every time there's a which is like, oh my god, it's such a great song. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of a trademark of Wes Anderson movies in general. Like his soundtrack choices are always amazing. But that's interesting. I never really went into when all the songs were from. So.
Yeah, because I mean, what's in there? There's the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff written by a guy named Alexander Desplatz. And who else is in here? What's the other stuff? Why is it just his stuff? I know there's other stuff in here. Oh, here it is. Okay. So there's a Davy Crockett song that's by George Burns.
Right.
There's Street Fighting Man by Rolling Stones. There's the Beach Boys.
And Jarvis Cocker wrote a song for it.
Oh, I liked PD's song.
It's so funny. I love it too. I love the way it ends with that horrible guy coming out and saying, "You wrote a bad song." Just so specifically mean.
Yeah. What did he say? He said that was like that's just bad songwriting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it. I love and that's why I was trying to make a note about the music, because I'm like, I love the soundtrack for this so much, but it's also not the music I would typically want to listen to either.
No, and I don't know that I would listen to it outside of this movie. It just suits it so well.
So well, yeah. So within it, it gives you this nice little jolt. It just makes you kind of happy. And and I was just like, how do you even categorize this kind of music? Do you need to?
Very jaunty, nostalgic, kind of upbeat.
Yeah, yeah.
And how did you feel about Meryl Streep?
I loved her as Mrs. Fox, for sure.
Yeah, she's just got such presence, even though her role isn't huge. But she just does such good work.
Yeah, the "I'm gonna lose my temper now" part. Oh,
yes.
Oh my god, it's so good.
And of course, George Clooney was perfectly cast. He's just so suave, right? That is George Clooney. So I loved that it's him playing with his persona in a way.
Yeah. But one thing, so like I was saying at the beginning, is I'm picking out different things from these movies as I get older. And one of the things I liked about this movie when it first came out is just the beautiful animation and the music, and it's a whimsical story and all this kind of stuff. I understood this movie was about growth and a relationship between a father and son. I understood that part. But the thing that got me this time was, how I realized this is actually just Mr. Fox having a midlife crisis, getting people into trouble and realizing, this is the life I chose, and I should actually just be thankful for what I have, compared to wanting all of this stuff and just ruining things for more people. And I'm like, this is a perfect thing for, I think, people my age, where you're at a point and you look at your life and you're just like, I want to be like I was 20 years ago or whatever. How did I give up all this stuff? Let me do all these crazy things I used to do and then regret every minute of it. You know what I mean?
Just recapturing his youth, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
And the other thing about it that I thought was interesting is he willfully ignores all the advice, right? He wants this because he wants to feel less poor.
Yeah.
Which he says, right? Mm-hmm. And then he deliberately moves into a house in a very dangerous zone for foxes, opposite people that want to kill foxes just so he can have a view. Like, it's very selfish. But I do get what he's doing because he just wants to feel personally better. Like, it's kind of a bit of toxic masculinity a little bit, right? Because,
a little bit, yeah.
Like, his whole thing is, even though it's not good for his family, it's good for his ego. And even though people tell him not to, he feels better if he ignores that advice. Because didn't he say something like he wants people to just be in awe of him a little bit, or he feels like nothing or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's all about him. And even though he prioritizes that feeling over other people's welfare. And I think, it was an interesting lesson. But, I have to say, when I thought about that, at the end of the day, the lesson isn't amazing because he kind of does everything and then he sort of saves them a bit. And they make it like, you really are fantastic. Like, I guess his lesson is learned where he's willing to die to make up for what he did. And so that's how you solve the problem. But I mean, ultimately, everything always sort of turns out okay for them.
Well, I also think part of the story is that he has learned to be happy where he is, right? Because he's living in a place that doesn't have a view.
And
he's also
they're always starving, but
they found a new food source, which is good. But also you realize that Mrs. Fox is pregnant again, and he is also glowing compared to the first time where he was freaking out. Now he's like, oh no, I am happy for this. Like I'm happy for me to not have to do all of these things. I have food and I have a family and I have wonderful people around me, and this is a good thing. Right.
And he finally, and accepts his son. I mean, now that I'm a parent, I kind of wanted even a bit more affirmation for his son. Like, I felt it was almost too subtle given all the indignities that Ash experiences, like being kind of rejected by his dad and passed over for his cousin and not really given. Do
you actually think Ash was rejected by his father?
In a way. I mean, he kind of says, oh, you're different, I get it. Like, he's constantly trying to live up to his dad, right? He's constantly trying to be an athlete. He's constantly trying to. And it's not until the end where his dad sort of says, I can't remember how it all gets, but he says, I'm glad that we had you as a son.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of a nice way of, being accepted by his dad.
Yeah, but I think I think Ash needed affirmation from his dad, but I don't think Mr. Fox was putting him down in any way. I think I think Mr. Fox was too busy trying to be fantastic himself.
But that's
and wasn't paying attention.
I'm not saying that he was abusive to Ash like that, but I mean, he wasn't giving Ash what he clearly needed.
Yeah.
No, he was ignoring him. Because Christopherson served his purposes, he was, constantly praising Christopherson and involving Christopherson, and he should have known as a sophisticated grown-up that that's going to hurt his son, but he just didn't care, right? He was just he just was very selfish. Like, for most of the movie, he's not parenting Ash really at all.
No, he's not. No.
So, like, from a parent's perspective, I feel like he's being a pretty crap dad. Like, he's not only not giving him any attention, but he's doing things deliberately that he knows will hurt his son. He's not doing them to hurt his son, but he's just doing them because they suit him, because Christopherson will help him. And he knows that's going to upset Ash, but he just does not care.
Yeah, I don't even think he knows. I think he full on was like, I'm being selfish. I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't think he was even paying attention to his wife's feelings or Kylie's feelings or the Badger's feelings.
No, he wasn't. But I think that's just bad. And I think he knows that he's being bad, because when Ash wants to join him in that heist, and he says, no, he won't tell him, but then he's invited Ash to come. Yeah. Christopherson to come.
Which is not nice, yeah.
And he knows that it's probably going to get back to Ash. Like, I just thought he was terrible. He's like a terrible dad. And I don't think he did enough to make up for it, really, at the end. And the only other quibble I will have is, like, Ash was constantly wanting to be an athlete. And they made a big deal of that, you're different, right? But at the end, his big kind of, like, his big triumphant moment at the end is that he is an athlete, because he does all these jumps and evades all the bullets and saves the tail and slips through the, like, it's not a triumphant ending because they appreciated him for who he was, but that he ends up being the athlete that he was hoping to be.
I actually got the opposite. Like, I understand that was Ash's triumphant moment, but at the end when Mr. Fox is making his speech and everybody's drinking apple juice and Ash is drinking grape juice and he's got grape juice all over his mouth and stuff, which I thought was a great detail because Ash needs to be different.
Yes.
And Ash needs to stick out and Ash needs to be weird. You know, he was like, I appreciate you for who you are. It's pretty much what he said in the speech to everybody that's there.
Right.
And I think that reaffirms, you know, Mr. Fox's like acceptance for where he is and the people he's with, and he's actually seeing these people for the first time compared to before. Like you were saying, he was being selfish and only thinking of himself and not worrying about all that kind of other stuff. And that's why he can, you know, stand on that soapbox again and give a speech and saying, you guys are great, everything is great, and now I'm glowing because I've got another person coming out that's going to need me and I'm ready for it this time. So to me, like for Ash, like I understand why he's upset and I understand why he was mad, but part of it was him putting it's sometimes that's the problem with being the child of someone who is great or quote unquote fantastic, is that even if people don't put the pressure on you, you put the pressure on yourself because you have to live up to that person. But also that person needs to acknowledge who you are if you're whether you're as great as they are or not.
You just
be acknowledged.
They have to be accepted too.
Yes. Yeah. And I think by the end of the movie, Ash is accepted. I don't think it's, as you said, I don't think it's a big enough gesture, but it's there and it shows that he's changing and it shows that he really is accepting who he is.
Yeah. I did get it. I just wanted more. I wanted
Yeah, I get that. But I find Meryl Streep put out more to Ash than the Fox did. So
Meryl Streep always was there for him. It was yeah. But I mean, you know what? I mean, everything can't be wrapped up in a big bow. It's always, you know, some things can be. I do think though that the whole Ash flipping around, evading bullets, was sort of the one scene that I thought was sort of out of character from the whole other movie.
Mm-hmm. But I also think he did it because he's always believed he can do it. And he was. But
I don't think he needed to. I don't think he needed to suddenly be as good as Christopherson at trying to do something physical like evading bullets. I feel like if he didn't do that, I think he still would have been able to have his father's love and acceptance, and it might have even meant more because he didn't do that.
Yes.
And still got that acceptance.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I liked though about the scene right after that is even so when they're on the moped or whatever leaving, and he turns around and he gives him his bandit mask with like the stars on it. That means it's something that he had made for him before he even got there. Yeah. Which meant he was already seeing his son for who he was, and that's why it had stars on it. It wasn't black like everybody else. It's it was crazy. Yeah.
And that's the moment where when he puts it on, then Ash turns and looks at the camera.
Yes.
His little mask on.
And he's like, oh, I got a mask. Did you see it?
That was very sweet.
Yeah. So I mean, I loved. Yeah, I do love this movie, but
I love it too. Yeah. I mean, I'm just nitpicking, but I loved the movie. Like it's awash with lovely sentiment, and it's a beautiful movie to watch.
Yeah, but it's just so much more. Every time I watch it, I get all of the adult things out of it, not the kid stuff out of it anymore. So
yeah,
I guess I'm adulting now. Like this is hurting my heart. I need to stop.
Well, I'm parenting. That's why I was looking at it from a parenting perspective. I'm thinking,
oh my God, yeah.
It was a lovely kind of marriage of sensibilities in a way, like Roald Dahl and Wes Anderson, because Roald Dahl's very surreal right? Like
He is.
all of his movies are very fantastical.
Mm-hmm.
So it does suit Wes Anderson because he's always like heightened realities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's clear, like you see it in this film that it's just so, it works really well.
I'd be interested to see how, like, when I watch this film too, though, it doesn't really strike me as a kid's film, even though it's a cartoon, because it is, like you say, it is sort of about a midlife crisis. Like the main plot is his personal arc, whereas a kid's film is, in a kid's film, like the Ash plotline would be the whole film.
That is true. Yes.
I think as a kid, though, you'd still enjoy it because they're cute foxes and animals.
Yeah, there's good action. There's some comedy. It's colorful.
And the bad guys are very funny, villainy kind of bad guys.
Yeah, you know, it's got a little song for you to sing throughout the whole movie. It's great. Yeah.
No, it's a great movie. I wonder how, like, I think it's too, I don't think Maddie will necessarily have the patience to sit through it right now.
There's a lot of dialogue. Like with any Wes Anderson movie, there's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, which is what I love about them. Like I love his dialogue.
Yeah,
but it'd be interesting to see a kid that's age appropriate how they react to something like this.
Yeah, well, even this one and like Isle of Dog would be. The Isle of Dog is actually quite a bit darker. Never mind. Yeah, no, that one's much darker. But I do love that one as well.
Before I remember turning it on and thinking, well, maybe Maddie will like this. She loves dogs. And that the first scene where they dump that dog in a cage and then no one unlocks him and he just dies in the cage.
Yeah.
Like that's right at the beginning. I thought, we can't watch this.
Yeah, that one is definitely less of a kid's movie than even this one.
Yeah.
But I think his eye for the creation of not just the story but the visual texture of the film is just, it's so perfect. It just works so well, you know.
When is the French Dispatch coming out?
Let's see. French Dispatch.
So now I'm hungry for another Wes Anderson movie.
It says 2021.
So
apparently January 28, 2021. Well, that says Slovakia. Let me hold on.
I mean, the other thing is, who knows when anything's going to be released at all anymore, because they keep postponing huge movies because the theaters aren't open. So we may get this on streaming.
Yeah, that's actually pretty likely.
Yeah. Like I just read that Bond might go to streaming.
Yeah.
If Bond skips theaters, I think theaters are dead.
Yeah, because Bond movies, like, despite the fact you can watch them on small films, because of the type of action and stuff in it, it needs to be on a bigger screen, right? Yeah.
And theaters were counting on these big blockbusters, right? Like, you know, Wonder Woman getting pushed back, and Jurassic World's getting pushed back, and I think they were all
Black Widow as well got pushed back 3 times. Yeah.
But if they put Bond on streaming, like, what do the theaters have left? I feel like they're gonna just go. I don't know what's.
Well, they were banking on Tenet, and technically Tenet made a lot of money, but it didn't make quote unquote Christopher Nolan money, so they're upset about it.
It didn't make enough money to justify the whole thing.
Meh, it's fine. But it just says USA 2021 Cannes Film Festival. So
no.
Yeah.
But now I do realize now that, I mean, whatever was reported before is out the window because things are changing on a daily basis.
Again, yeah. I mean, I did go to the movies twice. They were relatively empty, and everybody was very well spaced out, because I told my friends, if we get there and it's packed, I am not going in. I'm going to leave. I'm going to get my refund and walk away. But yeah, no, they were empty, and it was fine. But I also think during winter, people are going to get comfortable going, and there's going to be too many people, and I'm probably not going to see any movies.
But there's not that many movies that are being released. So I've read that when Tenet was released and what was that X-Men movie that got released?
The New Mutants, yeah.
Those 2 movies came out and a bunch of theaters reopened, but then business was not amazing week after week, and then no new movies came out. So a lot of those theaters ended up reclosing, like waiting.
the thing is, to keep them open, you have to give them things to watch, and they didn't do that. So
No.
how are we going to use your facility if you have nothing in your facility?
Exactly. And I don't, and like, you know, and they were counting on big movies like Bond. So if people are not going to be able to see Bond, like, they're not going to go see, like, I don't think theaters are going to have anything to show. Like,
and I think this is a self-fulfilling prophecy that where they're going. They're like, oh, you know, theaters are failing, so I'm not going to put my movie out, but they're failing because you didn't put any movies out.
Exactly. So it's very sad to see, because I'm a huge movie fan, as you know, and I love going to theaters, and I very much will be sad if theaters are not going to be around anymore.
Yeah, I
don't know.
Anyways, well, any last thoughts about these two movies?
Yeah, like I said, like I think that, like, they're both, you know, older movies now, but I thoroughly enjoyed revisiting them. I thought they both, in their own ways, defied time. Like, I didn't think either of them was dated. I think, for the reasons we mentioned when we were talking about it, like, Eternal Sunshine is just such a work of genius, and the practical effects and the fact that he didn't make anything contemporary at the time makes it just its own time zone. Like, I don't think that it will ever age in a way. So I feel like it's just as current as it now as it was. And Fantastic Mr. Fox, it's so beautiful, and it's also just such a, you know, a fun story, and the animation is beautiful, and the acting is fun. And like you said, like, it's like, I guess it's like a period piece. Like, it's very much kind of old-timey feeling, even when it came out. So, I mean, it doesn't age. So I think both of these movies are really good movies to watch even now.
Oh, I totally agree. I really don't have anything to add to that, because that was very succinct. But yeah, no, I like I said, I love watching both of these movies, and I understand why they're in my collection, and I will watch them more often now, for sure.
Yeah, I'm totally going to watch Eternal Sunshine again. Like, I'm going to watch it again probably this month. I loved it so much. Like, I think it's shot right up into my top 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, everything about it just works.
Yeah,
and I just like we keep saying, but like, it's just like the ingenuity of how he does some of the things within the film that just makes it, you know, fantastic to me. Yeah.
And I kind of do love too that, like, I found it very romantic, and you found it sort of the opposite, but we both loved the movie.
I don't know. It's not even that I didn't find it romantic. I think it seemed more cynical than romantic to me, but there's definitely, like, the scenes of romance that are in there are very kind, and they're very sweet, and they come across like you said, they convey the emotions correctly. But yeah, like my vision at the end, I'm like, they're gonna break up, and you're just like, they're gonna be together forever because they've learned their lesson.
Totally.
I'm like, no, everything falls apart, guys. Whatevs.
And I'm like, everything works out. Everything always works out. That's literally how I feel about life.
Oh, apparently, yeah. No, I'm a little too cynical for my own well-being sometimes, I must admit.
Well, thank you for inviting me again, and I'm so glad I got these movies, because, like, this was, like, such a fun watch. Or rewatch, both of them.
Oh yeah, no, thank you so much for coming back on and doing these films. I do enjoy our little discussions, because, like me, you're just so into film that, you know, you have, like, this nice deep dives into how stories are told, and how they're structured, and how they're portrayed, and all that kind of stuff. It's awesome. While we do still kind of, like, tangent into different places and do all the fun stuff as well. Yes.
Exactly.
It's always good. Yeah, so that's it for this episode of Off My Shelf. Until next time, you can follow along on Instagram and Twitter at ohmyshelf, or you can send an email at ohmyshelf@gmail.com. On the next episode, we'll be doing something special. It is another Twitch takeover. Erica will be back, and we are taking over her channel to talk about Fargo and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We are doing the recording on November 12th at 6:30 p.m. So follow Erica on Twitch at @HiI'mErica_. HIIMERIKA_, and on Instagram and Twitter at @HiI'mErica_. Join us as we chat about movies, answer questions, and interact with viewers. Hope you'll be here to listen.